Welcome to Intuitive Defense. My name is Baker. In this video, I'll be talking about a current event that demonstrates how certain politicians and groups use misleading words to push a certain narrative to further their anti-Second Amendment agenda. Before doing that though, let me go ahead and take a sip of my whiskey coffee since I'll be talking about government overreach and infringement. Just to get this video started properly, if you will. The source information used for this video is in the article section of our Intuitive Defense website. We provided a link to that article in the description of this video, so please feel free to use those references for yourself. Before moving on, let me just say it is the job of elected leaders to protect the freedoms and rights of the people they represent from government overreach, along with working to the betterment of their constituents. In short, making the community or area they represent a better place while preserving freedoms and rights. The priority is the people, not themselves or their agendas. Unfortunately, that is not always the case. There are many elected leaders who hold certain offices or positions that tirelessly work to their own benefit. To be fair, that is not a problem that is exclusive to a specific party or state or even country. There are elected leaders all over the world who work to the benefit of themselves instead of the people. In most cases, their motivation is the following, or a combination thereof. Continuation of office and or position, pretty much say or do anything for re-election purposes. Power and or control, attention, popularity, or fame, monetary gain, after office and or position employment, pushing an agenda and or talking points at the request of lobbyists. Many elected leaders are known for their fancy talk and emotional speeches.
Events like this give us an opportunity to show Washington, D.C. that we're not going to stand for the mudslinging that's tearing this country apart. Support our troops.
Yes.
Often, these speeches are compelling and help steer a narrative in a certain direction based on their energy and words. The energy is usually part of the show, but the words tell the true story of intent. Verbiage is very important and often used to intentionally mislead people by saying specific words that are similar, interchangeable, or just overlooked. It is important to understand that when this happens, it is not by accident, but by design, in most cases.
And by the way, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
The curator of the statement carefully selects a specific word or words to create an emotional response. The definition of the word does not fit the context of the statement, but the intention is not on the definition, but the word itself, because of the emotional value that word can provide. When this happens, the curator of the statement knows full well what they have done. But they don't care because the statement was never intended to be factually correct, just emotionally appealing. Hit me right in the ticker, it did. They also know that willfully ignorant people will defend the statement, even when it is pointed out that the verbiage was incorrect and the information is factually wrong. Those same people will say something to the extent of, but the message is still the same. That'd be like me saying, math is important. 2 plus 2 equals 5. And then someone saying that I'm wrong, and then I say, but the message is still the same. Math is important. For instance, let's take a look at this factually incorrect tweet from Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat out of New York, from June of 2023. Gun violence is the leading cause of death for children in America. Yet right-wing extremists in the House voted this week with the NRA to make it easier to kill innocent Americans. That's unacceptable. While I would agree killing innocent Americans is unacceptable, it being acceptable is not at all what was voted on. That is emotional hyperbole from an emotional person who uses emotions in place of logic. Let's break down his statement, starting with the first sentence. Gun violence is the leading cause of death for children in America. That is not true. He used the word children, maybe by accident or as a generic term to describe a young human, but most likely the word was selected by design. When the word children or child is used, it typically makes the listener or reader mentally picture an innocent and playful young human. This could cause an emotional reaction when associating death, more specifically a gun-related death, to that visual image of the child, leading to outrage and or anger from the listener or reader. This outrage and/or anger is not focused on the person or actions responsible for the death. It is focused on the object, the gun, highlighted and associated with the death. It is important to understand the word children he used and the context in which he used it is not as matter of fact as he stated. I'll break this short but powerfully misleading sentence down. According to the National Institute of Health, NIH, the American Medical Association's, AMA, age designations are as follows. Newborns, birth to 1 month. Infants, 1 month to 1 year. Children, 1 year through 12 years. Adolescents, 13 years through 17 years. They may also be referred to as teenagers depending on the context. Adults, 18 years or older. Older adults, 65 years of age and older. It should be noted there are many different age levels and definitions of the word children or child as it pertains to age. Some definitions and groups use the word child when describing a human from birth to 18 years of age. Some use the word child from birth to 10 years of age, all the way to 15 years of age. Adolescence is typically the definition given to a young human who is between the age of 10 and 18. Again, some definitions and groups set the adolescent age in different ranges. For instance, the American Medical Association's, AMA, uses an adolescent age range from 13 to 17 years of age. Johns Hopkins, when describing gender differences and biological changes, uses an adolescent age range 13 to 18 years of age. And the World Health Organization uses an adolescent age range from 10 to 19 years of age. The World Health Organization, WHO, has a larger breadth of coverage and might use 19 years of age as the adolescent cutoff because the age of majority, the age at which an individual has legal control of their person, actions, and decisions, is higher in some countries than it is in most states within the United States. It is important to note that within the United States, 18 years of age is when an individual is legally considered an adult, age of majority. Therefore, they do not fall into the children category. There are only 3 states where the age of majority is higher. Those are Alabama, Nebraska, and Mississippi. Anyway, as we can see, verbiage is very important, and the lack of correct verbiage can make the meaning and message of a statement different. He did not say gun violence is the leading cause of death for children, adolescents, and teenagers or young adults. He only said children because that would spark a more emotional response from people than the larger age gap would. Him including the other age groups would cause further questions and potentially lead to the failure of an emotional response to his vague word usage. Again, this is not about truth and facts. This is about emotions. You cannot debate facts with an individual who argues with emotions. Pretty powerful statement. You might want to write that down. Thank you. You're welcome. If this statement was about truth, he would have made it truthful, meaning he would have included other important and descriptive words to correctly cover the age groups represented in the study he quietly references. He would not have only used the word child in his statement, as it is factually incorrect. I'm assuming the data he is referencing is from a letter published to the New England Journal of Medicine in April of 2022. In this letter, it states the leading cause of death among children and adolescents, defined as person 1 to 19 years of age, in 2020 was firearm-related injuries. In this letter, it specifically uses the words children and adolescents, which is why it was important to cover the age groups earlier. Although death caused by firearm-related injuries is up, this letter does not focus on the causes themselves. All these deaths are tragic, but understanding the causes give more context to the numbers and the problems. Included in those numbers are suicide, homicide, accidental. Suicide. There is a very high probability that an individual who used a firearm to commit suicide would have still committed suicide if a firearm was not an option. These are individuals who were intent on taking their own life, regardless of the means in which it was done. Meaning, when they are ready, they will find a way to do it, whether it is falling from a high structure, overdosing on medication, using a sharp object, using a firearm, or intentionally putting themselves in a situation where they will probably be killed. Homicide. Firearm-related assaults where the intent was great bodily harm or death were most frequently committed by people between the age group of 15 to 35 years of age in the year 2020. Gang-related or affiliated assaults would be included in this number. Recent gang data is not as prevalent or in some cases as detailed as older data, but I would imagine the statistics are still relevant today. The largest age range commonly associated with gangs are individuals 15 to 24 years of age. A large percent of their numbers are within that age group. Individuals 15 to 17 years of age are commonly referred to as youth gangs, and individuals 18 to 24 years of age are commonly referred to as adult gangs. The average age of a gang member is 17 to 18 years of age. This is relevant because of the statement made by Hakeem Jeffries, where he attributes firearm-related deaths to children only, when in fact, adolescents and young adults, 18 years of age or older, are being factored into those numbers. When you look at the individual deaths from firearm-related injuries between the age group of 1 to 14 years of age, those numbers are dramatically lower than those that would include the adolescent and adult age range used in the New England Journal of Medicine letter. Ironically enough, gang-related and gang-affiliated deaths from firearm-related injuries of individuals who are 17, 18, and 19 years of age are also included in those numbers within the letter and would be part of the children statement made by Hakeem Jeffries. Accidental. As mentioned before, accidental or negligent deaths from firearm-related injuries are also included in those numbers, as it should be. But it is important to understand there is no specific intent to cause great bodily harm or death. It was a series of unfortunate events that led to the death. The same is true when a newborn or an infant or a child or adolescent or adult dies from any other accidental or negligent means. Now, before going any further, let me backtrack to Current Events Episode 3. There's a part of that video that is applicable here, and that I need to provide additional information on my statement.
8 children a day die from gun violence. In addition, 40,000 Americans die from gun violence throughout the year.
Not diminishing the tragedy of deaths, but because she's using this information as a way to limit the freedoms and rights of law-abiding people who choose to exercise their Second Amendment right for protection, it is important that she is correct. Her number of 8 children dying a day from gun violence, although horrible, is wrong because those numbers factor in age groups from 1 to 19 years of age, so includes adults. Therefore, it is not just children like she claims and should be less than 8. I'll be getting more into depth on that talking point in episode 4 of Current Events. So, when we isolate children and adolescents 1 to 18 years of age from the New England Journal of Medicine letter that included children, adolescents, and young adults who were 1 to 19 years of age, we get a number of approximately 6.25 instead of 8 like Sheila Jackson Lee stated. But since they are using the word children, we should separate the age groups even more. When we isolate children 1 to 14 years of age, we get a dramatically smaller number of approximately 2.03 children. Not that I'm saying that is anything that should be celebrated, because that is still 2.03 children more than it should be, but that information is dramatically different than 8 children a day like Sheila Jackson Lee said. Of course, we can see that gun-related deaths jump exponentially from 15 to 24 years of age, which part of that age group is covered in the New England Journal of Medicine letter and pawned off as children only by some politicians and groups. Also, we see 25 to 34 years of age has the highest gun-related deaths through the tracked life cycle. So, if firearm-related injuries are not the leading cause of death for children, by definition, what is? According to the Center for Disease Control, CDC, accidents, unintentional injuries, are the leading cause of death in children. The CDC separates the child health data into 3 age groups: 1 to 4 years of age, 5 to 9 years of age, and 10 to 14 years of age. The top 3 leading causes of death for children 1 to 4 years of age is accidents, cognitive malformation, assaults. The top 3 leading causes of death for children 5 to 9 years of age is accidents, cancer, assaults. The top 3 leading causes of death for children 10 to 14 years of age is accidents, intentional self-harm, cancer. Under adolescent health on the CDC website, the top 3 leading causes of death for adolescents 15 to 19 years of age is accidents, homicide, intentional self-harm. According to the definition and data, the statement made by Hakeem Jeffries of gun violence is the leading cause of death for children in America is not correct. Either he is intentionally deceiving the American people or he is ignorant on this topic. Either way, it is a problem because he is actively using his position to limit and reduce the freedoms and rights of the American people using lies and ignorance. Freedom is not free, but once it is had by the people, it is continually chipped away at by individuals who desire to take back that freedom. Typically, this is done using lies, and the justification is safety. For your safety, insert the lie. Hakeem Jeffries is that individual chipping away at your freedom using lies to reduce your Second Amendment right in an effort to make you safer. He is not the only person pushing this lie, though, which to me shows that there is specific intent to deceive the American people on this topic, because it is a talking point regurgitated by so many individuals, almost as though it is a coordinated attack in an effort to make this lie become truth by continually saying it.
Guns are the #1 killer of children in the United States of America. The #1 killer. More than car accidents, more than cancer.
Gun violence is now the #1 cause for death of children in our nation.
Firearms are now the leading cause of death for our children in the United States.
The leading cause of death of kids in America is now gun violence.
Getting back to the tweet posted by Hakeem Jeffries, more specifically the second sentence. Yet right-wing extremists in the House voted this week with the NRA to make it easier to kill innocent Americans. I believe the vote Hakeem references is the repeal of the pistol stabilizing brace rule, H.J. Res. 44, House Joint Resolution 44, which was sponsored by Representative Clyde Andrew, Republican out of Georgia, and passed the House by a vote of 219 to 210 on June 13, 2023. Anyway, nothing within the text of H.J. Res. 44 makes it easier to kill innocent Americans. The focus of H.J. Res. 44 is to overturn the new pistol stabilizing brace rule put out by the ATF in January of 2023. The pistol stabilizing brace is a piece of plastic that does not dramatically alter the way a pistol functions or fires. If you want to learn more about that rule or pistol stabilizing brace, we discuss it in our Current Events Episode 1 video, which is linked in the description of this video. Hakeem is being emotionally dramatic because he is an emotional person, not a logical person. He also associates a yay vote in support of for H.J. Res. 44 as a right-wing extremist ideology, making it sound as though some radical faction of individuals, which is only comprised of only right-wing people, are in support of repealing the new ATF pistol stabilizing brace rule. There is an estimated 20 to 40 million pistol stabilizing braces owned by American citizens. I personally know individuals who affiliate as Democrat, liberal, or libertarian who exercise their Second Amendment right through firearms ownership. Those same individuals also own or have owned an AR-style pistol equipped with a pistol stabilizing brace and do not agree with the new ATF rule. Seeing as how they themselves said they are not affiliated with the Republican Party or even on the right, how do they fit into this right-wing extremist category mentioned by Hakeem Jeffries? It would seem to me that Hakeem uses emotionally charged verbiage to lump a large group of people together in a very specific category in an attempt to paint a certain picture using only broad strokes of a paintbrush. The best way to understand a painting is through the details. You know what broad strokes leave out? The details. If Hakeem Jeffries was a rational person, he would concentrate on the details. Emotional people use broad strokes and vague statements. I don't know about you, but I don't want elected officials or leaders making decisions or creating law based on feelings and emotions, because feelings and emotions are subjective. I want them making decisions or creating law based on facts and logic. In my opinion, emotional people have a hard time debating or explaining their opinions, principles, and ideas, because for them, those are founded in emotions, which can change with the wind. This is typically why they tend to yell or be quickly and wildly accusatory of others, because emotions are all they have.
I didn't understand a one word you said.
Ron, are you okay? Ron.
I'm in a glass case of emotion.
They cannot debate facts because they do not have logic. They also want to be a part of the latest trend or support the latest thing because of the emotional appeal or the virtue that comes with it.
Such a good, real good person. Let me hear you say it too. Say it, or I'll kill your husband. I'll do it, I'll gut him like a fish. You're a good person. Oh, thank you.
That's a lot of wishy-washy shit that causes leaders to make poor and uninformed decisions that can potentially affect, usually negatively, hundreds or thousands or millions of people. It's kind of ironic that Hakeem mentioned children in his tweet. You know whose entire world is emotions? Children. Children are very emotional creatures. Children operate on emotions. Adults should operate on facts. If Hakeem Jeffries truly cared about the lives of children, he would act like an adult. Anyway, the verbiage and lies associated with it might seem like a small issue and not worth the hassle of identifying or even calling out, which is exactly what freedom-grabbing people like him want you to think. The small issues are used to drive larger narratives meant to deprive you and me of something. They do not need to take all your freedoms and rights at one time using force, when they can coerce you into freely giving away your freedoms and rights over time. As I have said before, as it pertains to your freedoms and rights, the Second Amendment protects the rest. There's a reason why the power-hungry elitists, politicians, leaders, notable figures, and certain groups are always going after the Second Amendment. It has nothing to do with your safety as an individual. It has to do with the safety of their agenda, whatever that might be. If they can take away your freedom and rights to effectively protect yourself, a gun, then it is easier to take away your other freedoms and rights. Throughout history, governments who seek more power and control also sought disarmament of its people. Don't ingest the lies served to you on a platter of emotions and think you are better off without a specific freedom or right. If you give them an inch, they will take a mile. Hakeem Jeffries and other individuals like him are just asking for an inch of your freedoms and rights at the moment. Pro tip, don't sacrifice your freedoms and rights for the illusion of safety.
Yeah, he's right, you know.
In the eyes of government, as it relates to your freedoms and rights, you will never be safe enough. They will always find a new danger that requires you to give something up in order to remove the fear. Those are my observations and opinions. Although this video and the comments made by politicians are specifically related to the Second Amendment, that doesn't mean the issue here is only limited to the Second Amendment. If they are willing to deprive people of certain freedoms and rights using lies, they are willing to do it about all freedoms and rights. The issue is not so much what they are lying about, but the fact that they are lying at all. Regardless of your political position, you should be against politicians lying, especially when those lies are used to infringe on freedoms and rights. So what do you think? Are the lies and statements of these politicians justifiable? Could it be they just didn't understand what they were talking about? Or do you think they are intentionally deceiving people in an effort to restrict freedoms and rights? Let us know in the comment section of this video. Lastly, we are working on building the Intuitive Defense channel and have lots of ideas for upcoming videos, along with continued videos for our noob series. So please like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel for future content. Some of our videos might be more neato than listening to a dictionary on audio tape. To Hakeem Jeffries and other lying politicians, please stop being pieces of shit.